Welcome to the Nifty Noon podcast. Usually when we sit down to review the week, we're talking about a specific coin pumping or maybe a regulatory slap on the wrist.
Right, just the standard crypto noise.
Yeah, exactly. But this week felt different. It really felt like the tectonic plates of the entire industry were kind of grinding against each other.
That is actually the perfect image for it.
Yeah.
It wasn't just noise this time, it was real structural change. We saw a massive rotation in capital, a potential fracture in the Ethereum ecosystem, and a leap in artificial intelligence that, quite frankly, should make every developer sweat a little bit.
Yeah, the TLDR for this week, which we're calling the Week of the Big Shifts, is absolutely wild. We're going to go day by day through the insights from our newsletter, Nifty Noon, because the timeline here really matters.
It really does. We're seeing a full story unfold over the course of the week.
Exactly. So theme one is this smart money rotation. We have Harvard University, the literal Ivy League, selling off a chunk of Bitcoin to bet big on Ethereum. But then almost simultaneously, you have trading giants like Jane Street quietly loading up on Bitcoin.
It's like a really high-stakes game of musical chairs.
Yeah, and while the money is rotating, the infrastructure is shaking. That's theme two, which is Coinbase's layer 2 blockchain is basically filing for divorce from the optimism ecosystem.
Right, a huge pivot there.
And just to keep everyone on their toes, theme 3 is the AI threat. OpenAI and Paradigm dropped a benchmark showing AI agents are now succeeding at hacking smart contracts at a rate that is terrifying.
Yeah, we're talking 72% success rate.
Which is insane.
That was the absolute wake-up call for me. But look, the mission of this deep dive isn't to panic you. It's to understand positioning. Whether it's an endowment manager at Harvard or a bot at Jane Street, everyone is shuffling their deck for the next phase of the market.
Let's break down exactly what they did starting right at the beginning of the week, Monday and Tuesday.
Right, the Harvard news.
Yeah, the headlines were totally dominated by Harvard Management Company. Now, for anyone who doesn't track endowment funds, Harvard manages over $50 billion.
The whale of whales in the academic world.
Exactly. And the news that dropped around February 17th was that they revealed a brand new position, an $86.8 million buy into the BlackRock iShares Ethereum Trust, the ETH ticker.
Which is a massive signal on its own. But to understand why it really matters, you have to look at what they sold to buy it.
Right.
They funded this move by trimming their Bitcoin ETF holdings by about 21%.
And naturally, crypto Twitter saw the words Harvard sells Bitcoin and just went into a complete meltdown.
Oh yeah, the narrative instantly became smart money is flaying, Bitcoin is doomed.
Which is such a surface-level take. I mean, we have to apply some critical thinking here. Think back to October 2025. What did Bitcoin do?
It went completely parabolic.
Right, we hit that all-time high of nearly $126,000.
Yep.
It was pure euphoria.
Precisely. Now put yourself in the shoes of an endowment manager for a second. Your job isn't to moon or to hold for the memes, right?
No, you're playing a different game.
Exactly. Your job is to preserve capital for the next 50 to 100 years. If an asset in your portfolio runs up 100 or 200% in a single year, basic portfolio theory dictates that you rebalance. You take some chips off the table.
It's not dumping, it's gardening. You prune the bush that grew too fast so the rest of the garden gets some sunlight.
I love that analogy. And even after this sale, Harvard still holds $265.8 million in Bitcoin.
Which is huge.
It's more than their position in Amazon or Microsoft. So they aren't leaving Bitcoin. They're just managing their risk exposure after a historic run-up.
Okay, so the Bitcoin sale is just prudent management. But the Ethereum buy, that feels like a very specific bet. Why rotate into ETH right now? It's been the underdog for a while when it comes to price action.
That is the real aha moment of the week. By moving nearly $90 million into Ethereum, Harvard is making a clear distinction between digital gold and programmable infrastructure.
Break that down for me.
So Bitcoin is a store of value. It sits in the vault. Ethereum, on the other hand, is yield-bearing utility-based infrastructure.
The oil for the machine.
Exactly. It's the oil that powers the decentralized finance engine. Harvard is basically betting that the next phase of growth isn't just about holding assets, but about using them.
Yeah, it's a huge vote of confidence that the rails of future finance will be built on smart contracts.
Right.
It's almost like they're saying, okay, we own enough gold bars now, let's buy shares in the railroad that ships the gold.
I might actually steal that metaphor. And context is really key here, too, because global crypto ETPs had seen outflows for 4 straight weeks leading up to this.
Yeah, the sentiment was pretty grim.
We also had the Kingdom of Bhutan, which has quietly become a major crypto player, selling Bitcoin heavily for 3 weeks straight.
Right, those Bhutan wallets have been very active sellers.
So in a market where everyone else is fearful or taking profits, Harvard stepping in to buy ETH is a deeply contrarian move. They are buying when the sentiment is low, which is exactly what smart money does.
But speaking of buying when others are selling, let's transition to the Tuesday and Wednesday news. Because if Harvard was trimming their Bitcoin stack, someone else was backing up the truck to catch it.
Enter the high-frequency giants.
Yeah, on February 18th, the 13F filings came out for Jane Street. Now, Jane Street isn't an endowment. They are a massive proprietary trading firm.
They are the actual mechanics of the market.
Right, and in Q4 of 2025, they increased their BlackRock Bitcoin holdings, the IBIT ticker, by a staggering 54%.
54% in a single quarter.
That brings their total stash to about $790 million.
Yeah, they bought over 7.1 million shares. They are now the fourth largest shareholder of the entire ETF. And they weren't alone either.
Who else was buying?
We saw Abu Dhabi's sovereign wealth fund Mubadala report a $630 million position. Goldman Sachs upped their exposure significantly too.
So on one hand, you have retail traders panicking because the price is chopping sideways. And on the other hand, you have nearly $1 billion of institutional capital flooding in from Jane Street alone.
The divergence between retail sentiment and institutional action has honestly never been wider. But here is where we need to get into the slightly nasty side of the market.
Oh, yes. The newsletter highlighted some very spicy rumors circulating about how these firms are accumulating.
The 10 a.m. dump.
Right. Talk about that.
So on-chain analysts and chart watchers have noticed a pattern lately that is almost too consistent to be random. Right around the U.S. market open at 10 a.m. Eastern, we see these sharp, sudden drops in Bitcoin's spot price.
It's like clockwork. The opening bell rings and a giant red candle appears.
The theory, and again, this is a theory from the trading trenches, is that high-frequency firms like Jane Street might be engineering this volatility.
How does that work?
Imagine you are a massive whale. You want to buy a ton of Bitcoin, but you don't want to drive the price up while you're buying it.
You want a discount.
Exactly, you want a discount. So what do? You aggressively sell a small amount at a key liquidity moment like the market open to push the price down just a bit.
Which triggers everyone else's stop losses.
Right. It triggers the stop losses of leveraged retail traders.
Explain that dynamic for a listener who maybe doesn't trade on leverage.
Sure. A retail trader borrows money to bet on Bitcoin going up. They set a safety net that says, if Bitcoin drops to 90K, sell my position automatically so I don't lose everything.
Okay.
The whales know exactly where those safety nets are clustered. They push the price down just enough to snap those nets.
And the retail positions are forced into automatic selling.
Which drives price down even further.
And who is waiting at the very bottom with a giant bucket?
Jane Street. Goldman. The sovereign wealth funds. They scoop up those panic-sold coins at a massive discount. It's essentially a transfer of wealth from the impatient and over-leveraged directly to the patient and capitalized.
It's brutal. It's basically shaking the tree to get the fruit to fall.
It really is.
Yeah.
But whether you call it market manipulation or just ruthless mechanics, the signal is crystal clear. The big players are positioning for the long haul. They're accumulating.
And they are using every trick in the book to get a better entry price. It really reinforces that idea that if you're trying to day trade against these algorithms and billion-dollar balance sheets, you are bringing a knife to a nuke fight.
You really are. And speaking of algorithms, there was a small note in the newsletter that day about the Jupiter exchange adding agent skills.
Oh, yeah, giving AI agents structured tools to trade.
Right, literally giving the bots the keys to the bank account. It definitely foreshadows the AI segment we'll get to later.
But first, we need to talk about the infrastructure drama that hit on Wednesday and Thursday. This was kind of the breakup episode of the week.
Yeah, we talked about Base, the Layer 2 blockchain incubated by Coinbase, and its relationship with optimism.
For a long time, the narrative was all about the superchain, right?
Yeah, the idea was that Base Optimism, Zora, and a bunch of others would all use the exact same underlying tech stack, the OP stack.
So they would be totally interoperable, like different states in the same country.
Or like the European Union. Same currency, open borders, easy trade.
Exactly. But on February 19th, Base signaled that it's basically looking for a Brexit.
They announced a huge pivot toward a Base-operated unified SAC. They're calling it Base V1.
And they want to introduce things like T and ZK proofs. So let's decode the alphabet soup a bit. What are ZK proofs, and why is Base risking this massive alliance just to get them?
Think of them as next-generation verification methods. Zero-knowledge proofs, or ZK proofs, allow you to prove a transaction is valid without actually revealing the underlying data. It's faster, it's far more private, and technically, it's just superior to what the OP stack currently uses. Base is essentially saying, look, the standard rail gauge you guys are using is too slow. We are going to build a maglev train.
But doing that means they can't run on the same tracks as everyone else anymore?
That is the exact trade-off, and the market noticed the friction immediately.
Yeah, the newsletter reported that Base's total value locked their TVL slid from $5.3 billion down to about $3.9 billion.
That is a staggering amount of liquidity just leaving the ecosystem.
And it wasn't just money leaving either, it was developers. Zora, which is basically the Instagram of the NFT world, decided to launch its new attention markets on Solana instead of Base.
That was a real slap in the face.
Yeah.
Zora was literally a poster child for the Ethereum Layer 2 ecosystem.
Yeah.
For them to pack up and say, actually, we're going to Solana because it's faster and cheaper, that is a devastating critique of the current state of Ethereum scaling.
It really feels like loyalty is just dead in this space. Jesse Pollak, the creator of Base, was on Twitter trying to do damage control.
Right. He called the rumors of a mass exodus complete and total FUD. Fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
He kind of has to say that, though.
He does. He's arguing that Base moving to ZK proofs isn't a breakup, but an evolution. He calls it technical independence.
But if we zoom out, this really suggests the whole superchain vision is fracturing.
We are seeing what we call liquidity fragmentation.
Which is the nightmare scenario for users.
Yeah.
You end up with 10 different chains, 10 different wallets,
Right.
and your money is stuck on an island that can't easily talk to the mainland.
It's the balkanization of crypto. And in all that chaos, monolithic chains like Solana look very attractive because absolutely everything is in one place.
It's a battle for developers, and right now the Ethereum L2s are busy infighting while Solana is out there aggressively recruiting.
It's Game of Thrones, but with smart contracts.
That's exactly what it is. And speaking of smart contracts, we have to move to the final and honestly the most disturbing story of the week, Thursday and Friday, the AI security arms race.
This is the story that genuinely kept me up at night. OpenAI and Paradigm released a new benchmark called EVMbench.
And its purpose is to test how good AI agents are at handling smart contracts right.
Yes, specifically 3 things: detecting bugs, patching bugs, and exploiting bugs.
And by exploiting, we mean hacking, draining the funds.
We mean outright theft.
Yes.
And the results regarding the new model GPT 5.3 codex were jaw-dropping.
Give us the numbers because this is crazy.
6 months ago, GPT-5 was decent. But GPT 5.3 just achieved a 72.2% success rate in exploit tasks.
Wait, pause. Let that sink in for a second. You're telling me that if I deploy smart contract today, this AI model, which anyone can access via API, can successfully hack it 3 out of 4 times?
Yes. If there is vulnerability in your code, it will find it and exploit it 72% of the time.
That is a quantum leap in capability.
It is. But here is the real problem, the massive oh moment from the report.
Let's catch.
The benchmark showed that the AI is absolutely incredible at attacking, but it still really sucks at defending.
Meaning what exactly?
When it was asked to patch the bugs, it found it often failed or just broke the code entirely.
So the sword is significantly sharper than the shield.
It's a massive asymmetry. Think about it. In security, a defender has to be right 100% of the time. A hacker only has to be right once.
Right.
Now imagine the hacker is an AI that can simulate thousands of attacks per second, never sleeps, and already has a 72% success rate.
That sounds like the end of DeFi as we know it. I mean, if you can't secure the contract, you can't put money in it.
OpenAI realizes this danger. They committed $10 million in API credits to help researchers build better defensive tools.
$10 million against a potential trillion-dollar market of assets that are waiting to be stolen. That feels like bringing a water pistol to a gunfight.
It really does. It signals the start of an absolute arms race. We are moving very quickly into an era where human auditors are obsolete.
You just can't read code fast enough.
You simply cannot read code fast enough to beat a GPT 5.3 agent. We will need AI defenders.
Autonomous agents that live on the blockchain and patch code in real time as attacks happen.
That is the direction we are heading. And if you tie this back to the Jane Street story from Tuesday, where they are using AI for trading, you see the convergence.
Both the financial layer and the security layer are being fully automated.
Exactly. The humans are just becoming the strategists like Harvard, deciding what to buy, but the actual execution is being handed over entirely to the machines.
Wow. Okay, before we wrap up, there were just a couple of small breadcrumbs from the end of the week mentioned in the newsletter that I think are worth noting quickly.
Yes, the White House stablecoin meeting,
Right. The White House took the lead on a stablecoin meeting this week, but what really stood out was that no individual banks attended, only trade groups.
which usually means the conversation inside D.C. is moving from how do we regulate this to how do we control this.
Exactly. And JP Morgan is collaborating with Swift on a blockchain ledger for cross-border payments.
Just a reminder that while Base and Optimism are fighting over the scraps, the old guard is quietly building the highway.
They are watching the chaos and building their own walled gardens. So let's bring it all home. We've covered smart money infrastructure wars and AI hackers. If you had to synthesize this for the listener, what truly mattered this week?
If you strip away all the noise, three things really matter. First, on the financial side, the crypto is dead narrative is completely false.
Yeah, Harvard buying ETH and Jane Street buying BTC proves that.
It proves that institutions are comfortable enough to rotate and deepen their positions.
Yeah.
They aren't leaving, they're just diversifying.
What's the second takeaway?
The infrastructure fragmentation. The superchain United Front is cracking. Base asserting its independence shows that technical superiority is becoming more important than ecosystem loyalty.
So expect more volatility in Layer 2 tokens as they fight for survival.
Definitely. And the third thing is the AI wildcard. The EVMbench release is a blaring siren. Security paradigms have to change right now.
We are entering a period where code is law, but AI is the lawyer finding every single loophole.
That's the reality we're in now.
It really leaves us with a provocative thought to chew on this weekend. If AI agents are getting 72% effective at draining contracts and high-frequency traders are using algorithms to engineer market dips,
Yeah.
is the future of finance actually being built for us humans, or are we just providing the liquidity for the bots?
It's a very valid question. Are we the players or are we the NPCs?
Definitely something to mull over. We want to thank you for joining us on this deep dive. It has been a really heavy week, but hopefully we helped you see the signal in the noise.
And remember, all the data points and stories we discussed today came directly from the Nifty Noon newsletter. If you want these insights daily without waiting for us to break them down, you really need to follow Nifty Noon on X and Substack. They are the engine behind this show.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Keep your private keys safe and watch out for those bots. We'll see you in the next deep dive.